Good morning, everyone. As with all events, we're going to begin the day with a word of prayer. So if you would, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you on this glorious day set before us to thank you for this great collaboration between Pikeville Medical Center and the Big Sandy Community and Technical College and the undertaking of this nursing program. We ask your blessing on the faculty, staff, and students that will attend and work here, that they may prosper in their endeavors and bring blessings to patients and families for generations to come. Let us always strive to be in your will and to remember your words in that we can do all things through Christ which strengthens us. And as healthcare professionals, instructors, staff, and leaders, we always be mindful to the charge given to the church at Galatia in that we bear ye one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. In Jesus' precious name we pray, and amen.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, on behalf of Pikeville Medical Center, our board of directors, and our administrative staff, I'd like to welcome you here to this wonderful, wonderful day. Before we get started, I'd like to recognize a few of our special guests today. A lot of what you're going to hear us talk about today is collaboration and working together to try to solve problems. Today is a great example of just that, of people coming together, recognizing that there is opportunity and finding the solution to be able to move not only our community forward, but the careers of many folks within our region, those that are seeking opportunity to help those that need help. So we're extremely excited and really to be here today, and really delighted, because with every with every challenge, there's always a pathway. And as I'm sure Patsy can tell you, this pathway was a little bit difficult to get here, because nothing's easy that's worthwhile really of working for. And certainly today is a great example of, again, that collaboration. So with that said, I'd like to welcome, first of all, a couple of great friends of mine with U.S. Congressman Hal Rogers' office. We have Adam Rice. Adam, welcome. And then with my dear friend as well, Leader McConnell, we have Donna Baker McClure. There's Donna, thank you. Both of them are great advocates for those offices and have been great friends to not only Kentucky, but specifically our part of the region, and helping with so many projects, this one included. We also have with us today the superintendent, Dr. Reed Atkins, is here. There he is. Reed, my friend. Talked to Reed yesterday. Wonderful wife, Stormy, who is a member or leader of Pikeville Medical Center as well. And you'll find in this community a lot of people are tied to health and education, because there are leading economic drivers on top of what allows us to be who we are as a region and as a people. We also have Jordan Gibson with us, who's with the Southeast Chamber of Commerce. Jordan, I saw him come in. Again, Jordan's been a great partner. Hey, Jordan. Has been a great partner in business and helping our region prosper and continue to grow. We have the City of Pikeville City Manager with us today. I know this guy a little bit. He's been a great friend, and again, a great ally for not just the City of Pikeville, but for the entire region. And I failed to mention that actually Phil was one of the first folks that I brought into my office. Asked him to come over and talk about the need for nursing. At that time, he was serving as a member of the advisory council advisory board with Big Sandy. So Philip, welcome. And then we also have Pikeville City Commissioner Allison Powers. She's here. Allison, we appreciate the work that you do. I know that you've been involved in a lot of different things here lately. We see your picture quite frequently at a lot of different events, so we appreciate what you do. And then a good friend of mine has been a friend for a long time. I call her my dear friend, and every time she responds or sends me an email, she signs it, your dear friend. But Jill Fraley, who's Dodson, who's with the Economic Development Department with the City of Pikeville. Jill, my dear friend, welcome. And then from the City of Coal Run, we have Commissioner Mike Steele. Mike, there you are. Welcome. Again, Mike's been a great advocate and has been involved in our growth as well, and very supportive of Pikeville Medical Center and all the wonderful things that the City of Coal Run has going on. He's been a big advocate for growth and opportunities. So, Mike, we welcome you and appreciate you coming out today. And then I always I always introduce him as in a dual role because we have a good friend, been a friend long before I even started before I came to Pikeville Medical, but the City of Co-Run Mayor, Andrew Scott, who also works for Pikeville Medical Center. So, Andrew, welcome. And then you'll hear from some folks here later. I'll introduce Dr. King. Will come up a little bit later, but we've had the opportunity of having now a couple of discussions and meetings and really energized, not just about what's happening here today, but what will happen into the future. So, Dr. King, welcome. And then, let's see, we've got a few board members that are here today. We've got Eric Blackburn, who's also our Chief Legal Officer. We've got Dr. Aaron Crum, who will, I believe he's on the agenda to speak here in just a few minutes, so you'll hear more from him. We have our senior VPs, Kansas Justice, Michelle Rainey, that's also here with us. And then representing the Emergency Nursing Association, who's also one of our very own, we have Dale Morton. And Dale, I saw you coming, can't miss Dale coming across for a couple of reasons, and I won't say why, but you can really see him outside. He kind of glows. But we're blessed to have folks like Dale on our staff and certainly representing those organizations. And I know did I miss anybody? I apologize. Used to wearing the mask. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't really see past the front row. So outside until somebody raises their hand. So if I've missed anybody, please raise your hand. We'd like to acknowledge you. But we do welcome everybody. We do have a great program lined up today. We're going to open the program with a special message from one of our great partners. I'll let everybody defer to the screen right now for the introduction of our special guest. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Gail Manchin, Federal Co-Chair of the Appalachian Regional Commission. It is such an honor to congratulate everyone at the Pikeville Medical Center on the opening of Project HEART. ARC is proud to have provided an area development grant that helped make this project a reality. We know here at ARC that it is imperative to expand access to quality and affordable health care that supports both the mental and physical health of Appalachians and their family. And the biggest piece of the puzzle in ending the rural health care shortage is training the next generation of healthcare workers. Through Project HEART, our region will take another step toward ensuring that all Appalachians have access to modern medical advancements and skilled medical professionals whose care and expertise they can trust. Thank you, Pikeville Medical Center, for your continued dedication to rural health care in Eastern Kentucky. And to all of Project HEART's incoming students, good luck and best wishes. Thank you for choosing a life of service to others. On behalf of the Appalachian Regional Commission, again, congratulations to you all on this step toward a healthier Kentucky. And just know that Pikeville Medical Facility will always have the support of Captain Marvel, AKA the Federal Co-Chair of the Appalachian Regional Commission.
Gail has been a great partner thus far. I had the opportunity to travel to Washington and meet with her. We talked with her at the SOAR event as well, and then unfortunately she was unable to make it to our groundbreaking where we presented the congressman and the governor and Gail the portrait representing who they are and what they do for our region as well. So we greatly appreciate Gail and all that she does. I wanted to, before they introduced our next guest, I kind of saved this to last because at the end of the day, the product and coming together is what we are here to celebrate. It's not just the building. It's not the curriculum. It's not the hospital, but it's the product. And the product is producing or gaining and granting an opportunity for our young students to be able to come in and to have a career, to be able to serve those within the region. So I salute those of you that are here today as up-and-coming nurses and for your commitment to our region and to especially this time with what we've struggled with the last 2 years. It is such a noble profession. They've been labeled as heroes, and I admire the steps that you're taking. So congratulations. And then one of our programs that we also have, so I'll give special introduction to, is that we have our extern program. So we have the opportunity with our nursing students that as they come through our schools in the area, that we also are able to hire them and let them work as an extern to get the additional experience, which helps with the onboarding process as well. So with us today, we have three of our externs: Madison Cottle, Alyssa Newsom, and Cody Bunch. So thank you all for, again, what you all are doing, and we appreciate it and look forward, by the way, to you punching the clock full time for us. So without further ado, I'd like to bring up the first speaker, Ron Burchett, who is the chairman of the board of directors for Pikeville Medical Center, who's a huge advocate for growth and investment and investing in our youth and in healthcare within our region. He's served for many, many years in this capacity. We're very, very, very blessed to have him as a board member, and certainly blessed to have him as a leader of our board of directors. So, Ron?
Thank you, Donovan. I've done several of these dedication events, and I always like to relate a little history of the hospital, and in this particular case, a little history of nursing and what role nurses and some specific nurses have played in the growth of this hospital. We are approaching, as I remind people, a 100-year anniversary of Pikeville Medical Center, coming up in December of 2024. And since the day the hospital opened in 1924, securing trained graduate nurses has been a problem. Initially, a few local girls would go to distant cities, Lexington and Louisville, and get nursing training. But then guess what? They didn't come back. They were lured away by the big city lights. And that was a continuing problem. So in 1925, a year after the hospital opened, plans were made for a local nursing school that would train local girls. Many of the hospital's patients at that time were from isolated areas out in the community, and they were ill at ease, frankly, with nurses who they considered from off. You've heard the expression, he's from off, which means he's not from Pike County, I guess. And so they wanted to have local nurses if that was all possible. So in 1927, they opened the first nursing school. And some of the problems they had at that time, it operated for about to 1932, but they had classroom space was limited. Housing was difficult to arrange for the students. Instructors were not easy to find. And the state board kept changing the accreditation rules. They kept moving the goalpost on what it took to be certified. So after 100 years, Donovan, we have what? The same problem. We have space, instructors, and regulations. It hadn't changed any over that period of time. But Donovan and his team are working on that. This is part of that plan, and we think that will be changing. That first nursing school, during that 5 years, they managed to turn out 17 RNs, and they were, if I read you the names of them, you would recognize the family names. They were Allen, Venters, McCoy, Weddington, Blankenship, Smith, Hatfield, Riddle, and probably some of you, and certainly some of them that would be listening, would say, well, I know my great aunt was one of those first nurses, was one of those 17. And when the hospital had these nurses, nursing in the 1920s was considerably different from nursing in the 2020s, as you might imagine. When the hospital opened, for example, the surgical suite, it was a suite, and the surgery doctors were in charge of the whole nurses. They had responsibility for that. In the OR suite, there was one nurse that had responsibility for everything that went on in that nursing suite. I don't know what this meant, Dr. Crum, but she took care of anesthesia services. Not sure, not sure what that meant, but that's what she did. She did all the pre-op, all the assisting the surgeon during the operation, all the post-op, and that was in addition to taking care if there was someone else laying over there waiting to be operated on or had just been operated on, as well as keeping supplies in and policing the area. One nurse did that. For a 55-bed hospital, there were 10 RNs and 6 orderlies, and they worked 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week. There was no job description. They were instructed to do, this is it, whatever was commensurate with the safe and efficient operation of the hospital. Bring it down, that's a pretty good standard to work by, probably. There was a laundry in the basement of that hospital, and guess who did that laundry? Well, the nurses did. Along with a few orderlies, they were responsible for that. Hospital leased ground, quite a bit of ground, for a garden to have supplies, food supplies for the hospital. Guess who tended that garden and harvested? The nurses, because that was commensurate with the efficient operation of the hospital, you see. So it seemed like you think, well, they didn't have time to breathe, to do anything else. But it really, in those early days, there weren't that many patients in the hospital because, you see, in the community, hospital was new. People had the impression the hospital was a place, that's where you go to die. And so they shunned the hospital. A lot of them did. And so the administrators at that time said, well, we'll do some goodwill tours. So the administrator at that time sent nurses out into the community, and they went door to door, talking to introduce themselves. I'm from the hospital. Just wanted to introduce myself, see if there's anything that we can do for your family. Hope you'll contact us. Well, word got around that these were pretty caring people, and the hospital's reputation grew. But even beyond that, in 1932, the hospital had an administrator who, Donovan wasn't the first administrator who thinks outside the box. Dr. S.K. Hunt said, you know what, we need to do more out in the community. He started what he called first aid stations. And these were little community-run facilities out in the county. I don't know how many of them there were. This particular one that I'm going to tell you about was said to be 18 miles from Pikeville in the Johns Creek community. And I don't know whether that was Upper Johns Creek or lower, but I'm suspecting that it was Upper Johns Creek because they used and some land that belonged to the Bevins family. There's a lot of Bevinses on Upper Johns Creek. So I expect that's where it was. And he chose a nurse to staff that particular first aid station by the name of Eleanor Slayton, E-L-N-Y-R, she spelled her name. She was a well-respected nurse at that time, and she really wanted to get away from working in this community. She had a penchant for mission work, and she wanted to go to the Far East to do some mission work, maybe in India or somewhere there. But he talked her into staying a little while longer and manning that first aid station. Well, she turned it, as it turned out, into a mini hospital and was doing things way beyond what your normal nursing duties would be. Of course, if there was someone that was really injured or had to have a major operation, she got them over to the hospital. But she did a lot of other things. Years later, when she did retire, she wrote back to a friend, in the community here and said, I confess, I was practicing medicine without a license. And probably doing a lot of stuff, but she was well thought of in the community, became known as Doc Slayton. And probably many people have thought that she was a doctor, but she was an RN. She said, if Dr. Foddy was here, he would appreciate, she says, I gave cold shots. I don't know what she meant by cold shots, but she says, I gave cold shots to everybody and their brother. This was not that far removed from the 1917 pandemic, and so people were more amenable, I guess, at that time to coming in and getting a shot. But she gave them to everybody, she said, everybody and their brother. She said the people were unaware that there was such a preventative available. In the period just after Pearl Harbor, there remained but 3 nurses for the hospital for each 24 hours of service. Now, that's a nursing shortage right there. In 1952, under a reorganization, the hospital had its first director of nursing, and that was the first time that they started working an 8-hour day, 5 days a week. In 1971, the hospital began a nursing program in cooperation with Prestonsburg Community College and had 26 RNs. If I'm not mistaken, I think Cheryl Hickman is a product of that first program in 1971. It could be wrong, but I think she is. How do we think these 17 initial nurses who humble themselves to not only carry bedpans and change beds, but to tend crops and do laundry? Or how do we think Eleanor Slayton, who changed her mission field from India to Upper Johns Creek? Or how do we think the hundreds of current nurses who are literally risk their lives to provide bedside service to patients who were so ill during the recent pandemic, who went after working a full day shift on the COVID ward when they were asked to work another shift, and they said, yeah, I'll do that. And so they changed their COVID smock maybe for the 6th time that day, and then turned back and worked another shift. Or they sit by a bed and hold the phone with a COVID dying patient who wanted to say goodbye to their loved one and maybe say goodbye for them. I don't know how you thank people for that. Someday, 100 years from now, there'll be another board member standing here or somewhere on this campus, and they'll be talking about the great pandemic of 2020 and how they survived and what we did during that time. And I hope we fare well in the history books, but I hope they talk about the nurses. I hope they say, the nurses are who got us through that pandemic. Several weeks ago, I got a phone call from a lady I've known all my life, and she left a message on my answering machine. And I could tell from the tone of her voice that said she wanted to talk about something at the hospital, and I could tell from the tone, it was maybe something that she was having a problem with. I used to get a lot of calls about the hospital, and it's overwhelmingly are complimentary. Many years ago, wasn't so much. But now they're overwhelmingly complimentary. But I sensed that this lady had an issue. So when I finally got back to her, and she said, when I first called, I didn't have a complaint to tell you about, but I had an issue, and it was my father, I believe it was recently in the hospital, and I thought at the time maybe that he was not receiving, the staff wasn't being as attentive to him as I would have expected, and so that's what I wanted to speak to you about. She said, but when I related that story to a friend of mine who was a retired nurse, she gave me a poem that she had had for many years, and she said, I read that poem, And she said it was a gut check for me. And she said, and when I thought about it, my father received excellent care. The nurses were very attentive, and it could not have been a more favorable situation. I said, well, would you send me that poem? I'd be interested in it. If it had that kind of effect on you, it might have that effect on me or other people. And she said, yeah. So she sent it to me, and in closing, let me read that for you today. What do we, you ask, what do we see? Yes, we are thinking, and when looking at thee, we may seem to be hard when we hurry and fuss, but there's many of you and too few of us. We would like far more time to sit by you and talk, to bathe you and feed you and help you to walk, to hear of your lives and the things you have done, your childhood, your husband, your daughter, your son. But time is against us. There's too much to do, patients too many, and nurses too few. We grieve when we see you so sad and alone, with nobody near you, no friends of your own. We feel all your pain and know of your fear, that nobody cares now, your end is so near. But nurses are people with feelings as well, and when we're together, we'll often hear tell of the dearest old gran in the very end bed, and the lovely old dad and the things that he said. We speak with compassion and love and feel sad when we think of yours and the joy that you had. When the time has arrived for you to depart, you leave us behind with an ache in our heart. When you sleep the long sleep, no more worry or care, there are other old people, and we must be there. So please understand, if we hurry and fuss, there are many of you and too few of us. Thank you.
Somebody leave a phone? All right. Oh, you're recording. All right. Well, welcome. Thanks for coming. I'm Aaron Crum. I'm the Chief Medical Officer at Pikeville Medical Center, and I've been a practicing OBGYN here for about 21 years. I've learned a few things today. One, I won't follow Ron again. From now on, I'm going to go before that. And two, Gail Manchin is portrayed as a superhero in her portrait. I have one of those portraits from Donovan, and I'm Napoleon. So I think there's a little bit of a difference in there since I have no funding availability for you. But I am super proud and happy to be here. And actually, it's an incredible place. I hadn't been here yet, but this is a great collaboration between two great regional organizations. And these really are two great organizations, in my opinion. And it's been said, healthcare and education, that's what drives this area of the world, and it's growing. It's going really, really well. I'm also super fortunate to have a background that depends on nurses, and being OBGYN, labor and delivery, recovery, those areas, that is ran by nurses. That is totally ran by nurses. And if you've had a baby, 98% of the time, and everything that happens to you during that is done by nurses. And, it's a highly satisfying place to get care, but also, and everything is almost always great. But when it's not, it's terrible. And so, that is a true area where I get to see how great our nurses are and how nurses in general are. Also, it's an area where nurses drive the outcomes, and it's not just a physician-led medical product there. So it's pretty incredible. Many of you probably know this. My wife's a nurse. My mother-in-law's a nurse. My sister-in-law's a nurse. And then some of the best friends that I've made, in the last 20 plus years are nurses as well. So it's easy for me to know what nurses do. And essentially, Ron said it, and he said it in a different way than I'll say it. But nursing is the backbone of healthcare. And I'll go a little off of what I planned to say, just based on what Ron had talked about. But what the reality of it is nurses run the hospital as far as clinical care and quality goes, and they have forever. that actually needs to change a little bit, but traditionally, all quality has been in the hands of nurses, and it still is, and it is in our organization as well. It's amazing how much work and effort that nurses put in to making sure the doctors have a really good quality product, and it's very true that they do that. The other thing that they do is they're patient advocates, and so it's a tremendous responsibility and burden to be a nurse. It's tremendously important to do that. These demands are increasing. What you need to know to be in healthcare, it doubles every couple of years. So the amount of knowledge that you have just to be able to function day to day is tremendous, and it keeps going up. And the demands on the paperwork, which isn't paperwork anymore, but the electronic medical records demands and all of these things. It is an overwhelming thing to go into nursing, but it's a tremendously rewarding career as well. Throughout COVID, you've seen it. Everybody's talked about it. The nurses are the warriors. They are the frontline heroes. They are the people that make great outcomes happen for our patients. And there's no way that we could deliver the care that we do without all of the ancillary helpers for nurses as well. I think that what we're showing here is that it's super important to make access to education, access to good education, be a priority, especially for Eastern Kentucky and for rural areas. There's out-migration, and we need to keep our young people here. We need to have them trained here as well or better than anywhere else in the country. And I think that, this is a great example of how we're starting to do that. It's been a really, really bad 3 years. And I would say that nowhere is that seen as much as in the nursing world. You guys have gone through mass exodus. You had an aging population of nurses. You had a group of nurses that were exiting the market anyway, and the demands of the last 2.5, 3 years have really sped that up significantly. The good news is there's a lot of people that want to be nurses, and I don't blame them. It's a great job. It's a great career. And, we just have to find the ability to train all of the people that want to be trained right now to go into that field. And I think that is where we're lucky that we have collaborations like this that are not only trying to train people in a great way, but are trying to grow the number of people that we can train. So, I think this facility, this equipment, and this collaboration is a great step towards that. We certainly appreciate our partners in allowing us to try to aggressively grow the number of nurses that we can put into the market. So I really appreciate your time, appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Take this mask off. I might have a ring. I apologize if I look like, but I also welcome you this morning. My name is Dr. Patsy Jackson, and currently I am the Program Administrator for Nursing. I've been with the college since 1993, so I guess you could say I have a little bit of experience. And I see Dale and Michelle sitting here. These are products of our program. It is proof of the quality of the nursing education that is received at Big Sandy. This is one of many programs that we have that really provide a very skilled workforce for the region. I want to just speak very briefly because I know there are other people that need to speak here today, but I think Mr. Blackburn was right. There's a lot of work that has gone into what you're going to see today as you tour through this facility. But before I do that, more than anything, I want you to look in this front row and with the gentleman here. This is the product. This is why we are here. I am so proud of them. We have amazing students. We have about 40 students actually at this site right now. We've admitted 2 cohorts, and we look forward to admitting many more. But I will share very quickly, when I first saw this site, I think this was a data processing center. I heard this site was going to be vacated, and of course, being the astute program administrator that I was, I thought, dang, opportunity. We have a product that can feed a workforce market, so I decided to come up and look around the area and see what we could do to partner together. And when I walked into the site, immediately, I envisioned what you see here today. This can be a real modern quality learning space for our students. So I appreciate Mr. Blackburn and all the staff. We haven't really mentioned a lot of them here today, but I want to thank them. There have been some amazing people that have come together at the table, and it really shows you what I always say, no one can do everything, but everyone can do something. So we took partners, we came together, and we got down in the weeds, Kansas is shaking her head. We picked out paint, we got in the weeds, and we just kept revising and revamping until we arrived at the product that we wanted to have. But again, I'll just wrap up very quickly by saying thank you for being here. Remember, Big Sandy and Pikeville are exemplifying for you here today what real partnership looks like. We are here for the academic portion. They are here for workforce. And this is what our mission and vision is about in higher education. It's not about what's on paper. It's about action out in the community and what we can do together. You will learn that when you work with me and many other leaders at Big Sandy Community and Technical College. We don't necessarily just want to talk about it. We want to make it happen for the region. So again, this is the beginning of a great future together. Appreciate every one of you and look forward to helping you tour through today.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome. It's a thrill to be here. I am Dr. Denise King. I'm the Chief Academic Officer and Acting President for Big Sandy Community and Technical College. And it is so exciting to look around this space and remember what it did first look like when we came in. And I was going, oh, there's some work that needs to be done. But it looks so beautiful now. This is over 8,000 square feet dedicated to nursing education. Beautiful simulation rooms, lecture rooms, study areas, and our students who have a calling to serve in the many ways that we heard about before. And what an opportunity to do that right here in Pikeville at an accessible, open institution like Big Sandy Community and Technical College. We're proud that we can open our doors to students who want to enter into many healthcare professions and look forward to other partnerships with PMC to prepare the workforce that this community needs and deserves. One of the things that I think is unique about this space itself is that we heard a lot about the nurse earlier and appreciate that beautiful poem, the nurse scurrying to and fro, trying to do everything that he or she can with the limited time available. One of the unique things about this space for nursing education is that we're not only training an individual nurse with the skills, the mindset, and the ability to do that bedside work, but we're training them in teams. So here, the faculty can set up scenarios for them that are challenging for them, not just on an individual basis, but as a member of a team. And they learn from the beginning how they are interdependent, how they work together with other nurses, and then how they must be able to work with the doctors and the other medical professionals to meet the needs of the patients that inhabit these rooms. That is so critical to success on the floor or in the clinic. And we're very proud that we're able to simulate that here for our nurses and challenge them, so that when they hit the floor, they know what teamwork's all about and they've got it all under their belt. So really excited to be here today, excited for you all to see the space, to get to meet our students. Again, great thanks to our friends at PMC, at ARC, and on all of you out there. And look forward to talking with you again about other exciting things that are coming up. So welcome to today.
Well, again, I greatly appreciate you all taking time out of your day to come and spend with us this morning, because really what today means, it's more than just cutting a ribbon. It's more than just the speeches that are being made today, and I do appreciate Rhonda's wonderful job, always of bringing the history of a region to life and kind of portraying it and what it means, how our history has led us to where we are today. But I was thinking, and Patsy kind of said it, beat me to the punch a little bit in more depth, but of what this building used to be. And Philip knows, because this is where he was working when I was able to recruit him to come and work for the city. But this was originally Summit Engineering. So when you think about as a city planner, as a city manager, You think about a product, you're thinking about coming somewhere to where there is a design, or there's vision, where things come together to actually build a product. Today's no different in what this building has become. Not only part of the nursing school, but we're also very proud of the other center that's here, which is the AVA Center, the Appalachian Valley Autism Center, and what it represents to the people of this region. It's lifting people up. It's giving them opportunity to stay within the region and to really make a difference. Now, the media is here today, and I appreciate you coming out as well. And as we cut this ribbon, if you all hear nothing else, I really want this message to resonate. Because in serving in my previous capacity and in the capacity now, Jordan, that when we talk about growth in a region and job opportunities, how often have we heard read that from our students that there's no opportunity? Time and time again. I know I've seen major news networks air it as well. And that's just not the case. Jeff, if you open the back of the Appalachian News Express, the last page of the first section, what are you going to see? Jobs, jobs, jobs. And we're one entity. So when you look at Pikeville Medical Center, we are a regional facility, but we have many partners. You look at ARH and Pikeville Medical Center, and though we are competitors, we're also great friends. We serve the region in different ways and different capacities. But as a regional facility, we take that transfer business in. They're great hospitals, but there's partnerships there. So there are plenty of opportunities. I'm speaking on our behalf, but there are great opportunities within our region. Currently, Pikeville Medical Center has close to 400 job openings. Traditionally, we always have around 200, but this time is a little bit more unique, and a lot of what Ron had said earlier, mainly created by the pandemic. So there is a great opportunity for not only our youth, but our unconventional students as well to be able to stay home, to better themselves, to look forward to an opportunity to be able to serve the region that they grew up in. You look at healthcare. Healthcare represents almost 18% of our economic climate, our economy in Eastern Kentucky. It's the leading healthcare and education. It's the leading economic driver for our region. Pikeville Medical Center represents about Pike County, the largest county in Kentucky, obviously a large county within the U.S. as well, but we represent in Pike County, the hospital, 27% of the total wages paid to the largest county in the state. We represent, Philip, close to 50% of the city's total occupational tax. And why I make those statements known is because there is opportunity to stay home. And it's not just in nursing. When you're looking for a career path, we're a city within a city. We have opportunity in places like IT, construction. If you're not interested in being an RN, we've recently been talking about things like a lab tech or physical therapy or respiratory therapy. I could go on and on. So there are so many different pathways to allow people to be able to serve those that they not only grew up with, but their family in the region. When we talk specifically about nursing now, currently there's a lot of statistics I brought over, and I've used these before, but you're looking at the largest trying to find my notes so I don't misquote myself. But anyway, I'll just swing it. What you're looking at is nursing is the number one job in the U.S. right now from the standpoint of recruitment. We have more nursing leaving the nursing profession than we've ever had before, and part of it is because of the 2 years that we've gone over, but it's not just that. The average age of a nurse is 51 years of age or older within that realm, and nurses are retiring an unprecedented amount right now. So we actually have fewer nurses coming into the profession than we actually have leaving. But the good news is we have more nursing students that are applying to become a nurse than ever before in our nation's history. So there is good news, there's a good opportunity, and there's a good chance for our youth to remain in the region, but not just our youth, to be able to create programs like Big Sandy has done that will allow, again, an unconventional student to come in and allow them to advance. When you talk about nursing, there's a monetary value to it as well. Both, I mentioned ARH, both Pikeville Medical Center and ARH both are entry rate for a nurse is $29 an hour. So it's a good paid position. On top of that, not speaking for our other competitors within the region, we're currently offering a $20,000 That's right, $20,000 sign-on bonus for a commitment. So there's wealth, monetary wealth, in a nurse starting out to be able to make an investment, not only to help pay off their education, but also a good earning wage to be able to take care of their family and serve their community. But how did we get here today? And I'll kind of close with this. I want to thank some folks also. Is that this project, I like acronyms, those that have been around me. And we started out with an acronym called HEART, Project HEART, Lisa. That stands for Healthcare Employment Around Regional Training. When Philip came to my office, it's the first time I think I mentioned it when we talked about the need to be able to produce more nurses. But this is a strategic program and a partnership to provide a way for the collaboration efforts of Pikeville Medical Center and Big Sandy Community Technical College, Pike County School System, Pikeville Independent School System, and Eastern Kentucky Concentrated Employment Program, EKCEP, and others to expand existing and develop new ways to incorporate medical support training. With Project HEART, we have been able to present these type of projects to folks like Congressman Rogers Adams and Donna, the leader, McConnell, who have both been huge advocates and have made significant investments in not only Project HEART, but in Pikeville Medical Center in healthcare and in education. And we cannot thank them enough for what they do for our region. How did this project come about? Again, I can't thank, and Ron, I say this often, but I truly, sincerely mean it. The leadership of not only Ron Burchett, but our board of directors is just unbelievable. I've had the pleasure of serving on many, many boards, but given us the opportunity, presenting a vision, and then supporting that vision, realizing what the outcome will be, and today is part of that. Coming in and asking not only to acquire a building, but to take a big portion of that building out to be able to build a program such as this. So we offered this building to Big Sandy because of the need, because of the partnership for a $1 a year lease. And on top of that, we used our construction crew in working, Patsy, with you all on the colors and all the things that we did to actually help build this facility. And on top of that, we went to the city of Pikeville initially and asked them if they would sponsor a grant. We ended up, because of some accounting reasons, Lisa, we ended up managing the grant ourselves, but we appreciate the commission and the city of Pikeville for an initial stepping up and allowing us to apply for a $500,000 grant that went into the construction part of this building. So when we talk about collaboration and partnership, projects such as like this become available because of the people that we thank. It's people like Michelle Rainey, who's our chief nursing officer, that understands the need and has so much expertise in this field. You know, I got tickled this morning when we were coming over. We've had a lot of discussion lately about how we recruit nurses into our system because of all the things I just said a moment ago. And it never fails. The next morning, you know, you're going to come in, Eric, to a folder full of papers that Michelle has researched and has come through and have highlighted. And she usually gives them to Eric, our attorney, and he turns around, looks at them, gives them right back to her. But it's someone in this profession to where it means their heart. It is really their heart and soul. So we have great leadership in people like Kansas Justice and Lenny Taylor, who come into an organization and worked with Patsy and her group, Dr. King, to develop it and to put our people forward to make sure that we get the product that is deserving of these wonderful students that are here with us today. And then we have people like Lisa Eastep, who is our grant writer too. She has a much bigger hat than that. She oversees our PR and marketing and so many other departments, but she is our voice of our organization. But Lisa is also a very, very skilled grant writer. And hopefully nobody out there is listening to this because I don't want to be recruited after that. I just made that statement. I realize sometimes after I say something that it kind of works to my detriment, but I say that jokingly. But Lisa has been wonderful and has been able to work with people like the leader's office and the congressman's office and the governor's office to make things like today happen. And I mentioned Lenny with Kansas a moment ago. Lenny Taylor, is Lenny here today? He's working, there's no doubt in my mind. He's been one of the greatest assets that we've had to our organization. He's over our construction group and does a phenomenal job to get things done on time with so many projects. But when we talk about collaboration and support, first of all, I want to thank Governor Burchett. I want to talk about this part of the collaboration because one of the things that the governor recently did was listening to the need for nursing and not only supporting nursing in his budget, he also was able to sign an emergency order that will allow these type of facilities to expand to the size that we need. There's also some new legislation coming down of our legislators that we were actually reviewing last night and today that will hopefully allow more faculty to be able to support that expansion. So again, it's the emergency order which was really created out of Pikeville. I want to thank again Gail Manchin, federal co-chair, for the grant. The $500,000 came through their department. Gail's been, again, since she's been in position, been a huge supporter. As I will never be able to say enough about Congressman Hal Rogers, who's been a friend of mine for 20 years and has done so much along the same lines with Leader McConnell, who both welcome us into their office and any time we ask and listen. And not only listen, they make things happen. And today's another fine example of that. I could give you so many examples, Philip. You know what I'm saying, Andrew, about how these wonderful leaders have made investments in Eastern Kentucky to make sure that the health and well-being and educational components of our future are taken care of. Our senators and representatives locally, again, the support that they've given to us has been absolutely phenomenal, along with Colby Hall and shaping our Appalachian region. And as a matter of fact, SOAR right now is working on a study that will look at the collaboration between healthcare and education to determine where the needs are to support those needs on behalf of both federal and state government. I've already mentioned Philip, and I also want to thank the mayor who couldn't be here today, but Jimmy Carter has been a friend of mine for 40 years now, I guess. Lord, I'm getting old. But the mayor and Philip and the commission has been phenomenal in working with us as a city partner, obviously located in the city. They always step up to try to help. And again, KCTCS and Big Sandy for their leadership. There's not been a time that I've not been able to reach out via text or call and not have somebody on the other end and really attentive to our needs. So my job today was just to kind of outlay what the program was and to say thank you, because this is a huge step in helping address not only nursing, but there's a crisis in the U.S. right now. There's a huge crisis that not everybody's really looking at or aware of, that we need qualified, good students like yourselves to put on the cape. We call them scrubs. And to step up and take charge. Because the fact of the matter is, and Ron kind of said it in some other subtle words in his poem, it's our grandparents, it's our parents, it's our moms, our dads, our brothers and sisters, those that are in need or that are lying in the bed, that are looking up with their hands and asking for help. And it's you that have answered that call. So thank you. I'll conclude my comments and thank everybody again for coming. We're going to cut the ribbon now, and I assume allow you all to look around a little bit. So at this time, I'd like for the nursing students, I want to mess up their schedule a little bit. I do that frequently, but I know we got some students here. I'm going to ask the nursing students to come up here and line up. Come on, all of y'all come up here and line up in front of the ribbon. And I'd like for our partners, and then Ron, if you would. 1, 2.